Ever heard of a global network of, well, let's just say well-connected professionals with, get this, a secret safety net?
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this. Sounds intriguing.
It is.
Yeah.
And no, we're not talking about spies or anything like that, though. It kind of feels like that.
Right.
We're diving into the world of Skål International.
Skål International. Okay.
A huge, and I mean huge, organization for people in tourism and hospitality. And what's even more fascinating, they had this thing called the Florimond Volckaert Fund.
Okay, the Florimond Volckaert Fund.
It's like a, how do I put this? A benevolent fund. Yeah, a benevolent fund set up to help out their members when they need it most. And because I'm all about uncovering the hows and whys, today we're doing a deep dive into what this fund actually does, with real life examples and all.
I'm hooked already.
Oh, and stick around, even if you're not planning on joining Skål anytime soon, because some of this stuff, well, it might just surprise you.
You got it.
So the Florimond Volckaert Fund, right, established back in 1954 by Skål's founder.
Makes sense.
Who, by the way, is the Florimond the fund is named after, just in case you were wondering.
I was wondering, yeah.
And the whole point of it, to help out fellow Skål members and their families in times of need.
It's really interesting how this fund works. It's like a safety net built right into the fabric of the tourism industry, an industry that, let's be honest, can be pretty unpredictable.
Oh, tell me about it.
It reminds me of those old school guilds or fraternal societies, the ones that always had each other's backs.
Oh, absolutely. Those historical groups, they're fascinating. I was actually just reading about medieval guilds that would support members if they got sick or couldn't work.
Exactly. There's a real sense of community there. That same spirit of amicale, which, if you don't know, is huge in Skål. It's all about genuine friendship and support, and it shines through in this fund. It's not just about business. It's about being there for each other, truly being there.
And speaking of being there, I came across a story about a Skål member who, for years, donated to the fund, never thinking for a second that they'd be the one needing help one day. Talk about a twist of fate.
Life has a funny way of doing that, doesn't it? But it also tells you this fund isn't about bailing people out of everyday money troubles.
Right.
This is serious stuff. Life throws you a curveball, the kind that could wipe you out financially, emotionally even. That's when this fund steps in.
So we're not talking about a flat tire situation here.
Definitely not.
Right.
Think more along the lines of huge medical bills not covered by insurance. Or imagine, needing financial help after a family member dies.
Wow.
Or even something like needing specialized equipment because of a disability.
I see.
These are real situations people in these documents have faced, and that's when this fund, it becomes a lifeline.
There's actually a case mentioned here where the fund helped a member get a prosthetic limb after an accident. That's life-changing.
Exactly. It's not just about getting by, it's about rebuilding your life. And while the fund is very understandably private about the specifics of each case.
Right, of course.
Just reading about these stories, it gives you a glimpse into the real impact this fund has had, especially for Skål members facing the unexpected.
This is really making me think about how someone would actually, go about getting help from this fund.
Right.
Do they just send an email to Skål headquarters and cross their fingers? What's the deal?
It's actually way more personal than that. From what I gathered from the documents, requests usually go through the member's local Skål chapter.
Okay.
Or sometimes a regional director. It's about having someone who knows them, knows their situation.
Right, someone to vouch for them. It definitely makes the whole thing feel less, intimidating.
Exactly. It
Right.
brings that human element back in, which is so important. And it goes back to that core value of Skål, building genuine relationships, not just, networking for business. Mm-hmm.
It's really about those face-to-face connections, the ones that actually mean something. And those connections, it seems, they can make all the difference when things get tough.
Absolutely. This fund really highlights that.
Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. All the funding for this, it comes directly from other Skål members. We're talking no government grants, no big corporate sponsors, just, generosity.
It's pretty remarkable when you think about it. It speaks to that amicale spirit. Knowing that your contributions are going directly to help a fellow member, their family, it definitely adds a personal touch you don't find everywhere.
That's definitely inspiring.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine relying solely on donations like that, it must come with its own set of hurdles.
Of course.
The fund's financial stability, it hinges on the generosity of its members.
It does, and the documents actually mention how those low interest rates we've seen. Yeah, they've had an impact on the fund's investment income.
Oh, I see.
It's a small detail, but it highlights that supporting the fund is crucial even when there isn't a major crisis happening.
So even those small, regular donations, they add up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about building up that safety net, ensuring it's strong enough for anything that comes up.
It's that whole prepared for a rainy day mentality.
Precisely. Though financial stability is, just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Right.
There's also the question of, discretion. We're dealing with people's lives here.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. If someone receives help, is it announced at the next Skål event?
Not a chance.
No big fanfare.
Not at all. The documents emphasize how important confidentiality is.
Makes sense.
Unless the recipient decides to share their story, everything is kept completely private.
It makes you think about the pressure, especially in an industry like tourism, to always have it together, to be selling that dream lifestyle.
Absolutely. And that's where that confidentiality becomes even more crucial. People can ask for help without worrying about being judged.
Without feeling like they have to keep up appearances.
Exactly. Knowing their privacy is respected, it makes all the difference.
It really does. It's funny, you'd think something like this, with such a wide reach, operating globally and all, it'd be more well known.
Right. But it says a lot about, I think, Skål as a whole, both the fund itself and the people who support it.
It's not about the recognition.
Not at all. It's about quietly helping out where it's needed most.
It really makes you wonder, could this kind of member-funded support system work for other professions too? Like, imagine if teachers or nurses, even artists, had access to something like this.
It's an interesting thought.
It really is.
There's something really powerful about this idea of taking care of each other, pooling resources to create a safety net.
For sure. Though, trying to do something like this in other fields, it wouldn't be easy.
No, definitely not. Every profession comes with its own, unique challenges and considerations.
Absolutely. But still, the Florimond Volckaert Fund, it gives you something to think about. It shows you what can happen when people come together, when they decide to support each other no matter what.
It really is quite inspiring.
Well, there you have it, our deep dive into the Florimond Volckaert Fund.
Fascinating stuff.
From its roots in that idea of Amical to the real impact it has on Skål members, it's been quite a journey.
It has.
And to everyone listening, we hope this has sparked your curiosity. Maybe you want to learn more about Skål, or maybe this has inspired you to explore similar initiatives in your own line of work. Either way, until next time, keep those minds curious and those hearts open.